Hello again and welcome back to another one. And today we have a couple of topics to cover, from a recent discussion on the possibility of a sequel to the classic 8 Mile film, and Eminem's manager recently sat with the writer of the film, Scott Silver, and they spoke on this that sparked reactions among fans on social media. More on this in a bit. Today we also have more that sparked outrage from hip-hop fans for the most part when Billboard revealed the top 15 best hip-hop songs of 2022. And before we get to reactions so far, check out the list. And top 5 goes FNF, Pushing P, Wait For You, Just Wanna Rock, and Jimmy Cooks. And the reactions have been all over the place since it's hard to tell what metrics were used. For instance, it's not entirely a popularity contest, because though FNF has been nominated for a Grammy, it's not done huge numbers on Spotify or YouTube, relatively speaking, compared to the other big hip-hop songs of 2022. The user concludes, Glorilla must be an industry plant, because where the F did she come from? Loudly crying emoji. Some added, this is easily the worst rap list ever made, and I'm being serious. Not a single song here bar Kendrick's and Vince maybe should be in the top 15. In fact, some believe the people who came up with this list aren't qualified. How about we stop having people that don't listen to hip-hop talk about it? And even positive posts about the list have been flooded with negative reactions. Check this out. FNF was just voted the best hip-hop song of 2022 on Billboard, was just certified platinum, and is nominated for a Grammy. The culture took a win with this song. And this has been met with dozens of responses like, we used to laugh at this kind of music, I never thought it would ever be taken seriously. And they kept going in, if your dream has been to win a Grammy, but you never thought you had enough musical talent, don't give up, musical talent is no longer required. And now some are split between asking what happened to hip-hop music and those who have concluded that hip-hop is dead. But for some, this is an issue local to the United States. This is the death of US rap though, for real. It being the best song for its subcategory. Okay, but the best rap song period? Let's be sober for 3 seconds, bro. And I'll have to throw this one over to you guys. Is FNF at number 1 for hip-hop songs in 2022 a win for the culture? What are your thoughts on the top 15 songs? Moving on to the next point, thanks to the latest episode of the Paul Pod, we got to find out where things are in regards to a sequel for 8 Mile when the writer brought it up.
Oh, I know we talked about this before, but...
Go ahead.
So, so there's never going to be a sequel?
All right.
Well, first of all, of course, the Big M's never acted again. And so that's sort of, because he was so good in the movie.
And Paul cleared the air that Eminem's acted, but not in a main role since then. For instance, the last time it was a short cameo as White Boy Rick on 50 Cent's hit show BMF. And there's more as Paul expanded on the possibility of a sequel.
As far as a sequel to 8 Mile goes, right? And you and I had an email exchange about this a couple years ago, or maybe last year. This is where I see it, right? And this is what I said to you. The time leading up to where Eminem became famous, where Marshall became famous, people didn't really know that story because they hadn't lived it, right? Once he became famous, the public lived that with him. We've all been there for it. We're still living it, right? So why do we need to make a movie of that? We've seen it. We didn't see the other stuff. So that's why I thought it was more interesting.
But as a writer, Scott Silver cleared it up since B-Rabbit is a character in his own universe, so it doesn't have to go exactly how things went for Eminem to warrant a sequel.
It's a character in a movie. What happened to M didn't have to happen to Rabbit.
Now, we all know that when you look up films that Eminem was supposed to star in as the lead character, we have several examples: The Fast and the Furious, Elysium, even a Batman role back in 2004, and the most recent that hit the web, a Grand Theft Auto film that was pitched to the creators. And in the podcast, Paul Rosenberg revealed that since Southpaw was written for Eminem, in some ways, you could see it as a sequel to 8 Mile, and he explained why.
That script, in many ways, is a sequel to 8 Mile. In the sense that it starts off with a boxer who's the champ, right? He's at the top. And what we watch, and this is more so in Kurt's version of the script than what ended up on the screen, but you see him collapse. And he collapses because he loses a loved one. In this case, it was his wife. He gets very addicted to drugs. He starts not believing in himself. He loses connection with his family, falls into a deep hole, and has to work himself out of it, right? That's what happened to Marshall in real life.
Right.
So in a lot of ways, that was the sequel. You know, obviously Marshall wasn't in it, and that's gonna, you know, all of his fans are gonna feel like they got ripped off because he didn't do it.
But ultimately, the door is still open for a sequel.
Never say never. Maybe there's a sequel one day. Hopefully, if we do decide to do it, it'll be while we can all still, you know, walk on our own volition. And that is what it is.
And when the news hit Reddit, Paul says there's a chance at 8 Mile 2. It's quite interesting to see how people interpreted the end scene of 8 Mile. Didn't 8 Mile end with Rabbit showing everyone he could be the greatest battle rapper, but then after proving himself, he decided he needs to go back to work and keep grinding at his factory job that's giving him opportunities for advancement? I always thought it was a weird ending, but I swear that's what happens. He proves his skill to himself, but decides that it would be better to not burn bridges at work so he can move up in the company, to which a user responds, "That's not really what I took from it, to be honest. More like he might have won the rap battle at the shelter, but that doesn't exactly come with a record contract and instant fame. He still got bills to pay and needs the job for the time being." Thoughts? Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoy content like this, and see you on the next one.